So, the ship of the week this week is the Paladin. And that is because this might be the sleepy of Invictus. I just released a video about the ships that might release this year. And I realized actually there are a couple other people talking about it. I saw Astro Historian did a podcast episode on it. That was not planned at all, but go check out his podcast. So I bet it's good, more in-depth talk about what we covered in our video. But I also saw a Reddit thread pop up of people kind of speculating what might be the Invictus big ship drop this year. And I don't think I saw anybody say the Paladin, which surprised me because I know it doesn't get talked about a bunch and it's not super big or hyped, so it might not be expected to be a headliner. But because it's actually a relatively smaller ship, it is exclusively military focused. Yeah, it's actually front line of humanity's defense. So Invictus Week, what we usually get is an actual military ship, not just a combat ship, but something that is used by the military. So while we could see the Starlancer attack, I don't think that's a military ship. I think it's just a combat ship. But this is used by the UEE. It is not that long. It's 50 meters long, which puts it bigger than the Valkyrie, as you guys were mentioning, but not necessarily the size of like a Perseus or an Ironclad, Jesus. But it is a relatively compact ship for what it does, which is gives people a lot of firepower. 4-person ship, right? I mean, 4 if you want all the gunners open. Probably 5 if you want a good engineer on board. And it's all combat. So this doesn't take new gameplay. This doesn't take some new type of functionality or new features. This is basically just another Redeemer, a small hammerhead almost. I mean, even looking at the cockpit, right? Look at this picture. What does this picture remind you of? I know somebody in chat recognizes where this picture is from. This is like basically the same picture as another ship's concept art from a different angle. It's actually really weird. Let's go on here. I don't know if this will load either. This is also... Oh no, this is not on our server. I actually kind of gave it away. What I'm thinking of. Somebody probably caught that. Here we go. From Gavin Raw 3. Oh, Jesus. Then you have to go, wait, did he make this art too? Did he make them both? Is that what's going on here? That is. Yeah. It's both Gavin. No wonder. This dude, you can see it. So here's his Paladin release. I mean, you can tell they have the same idea. They're both these sort of like assault ships on other ships that are focused on their turrets, maybe attacking fast and getting out. But clearly they're trying to say, hey, this is the same league and the same idea. Maybe also the same concept artist. But it's the same vibe. 2 different companies. This is Anvil, this is Aegis. So it's not like it's because they're coming from the same company or anything like that. But that is that's kind of what the Paladin looks like. So diving a little deeper into what it actually is, it's got itself a size 5 laser weapon on the top, tearing through shields in seconds, leaving even the most fearsome ships incapacitated, track mounted for unmatched reach and visibility. So you can see it right here. Just like the Scorpius, it'll slide back and go down underneath, giving you a little bit more of a view to fire at other people, like if somebody's behind or below your ship. It's got VTOL engines just like on the Valkyrie, so it's going to fly a little bit better, perform a little bit better in atmosphere. This is actually, you can see the shot here where the turret is on the bottom. So whatever it is that you need to use this for, you can kind of move it around with versatility. You've also got the 2 turrets on the outsides. I believe these are size 3s. Size 4s. So you got 1 size 5, that's the one that swivels, and then you got 2 size 4s. Don't know how that's going to... I'm guessing with the way that they're doing the ships now, they'll slave these facing forward. Although we have a Q&A here where they might talk about that. But this could be a very, very powerful ship. Even if you can't do Or even if you can slave all the turrets forward at the same time, though, you're still going to want somebody on this as an engineer, because this is fairly big at 53 meters. And as a combat ship, you're going to need a lot of active maintenance of this thing when you're flying and fighting. So like I said, on the exterior, we got the quad size 5. We got the 2 dual size 4s on the outside. On the interior, you've got your cockpit. Upper deck has your habitation cockpit and a couple other areas down there. Maybe some like storage and just places to chill. Reminds me of the MSR almost. And on the lower deck, you've got actually a pretty decent amount of space as well, with the gunner seats down below. A pretty big stair. It's like a caterpillar style staircase here, and suit lockers in the back. So like this could also be your assault ship, your drop ship, your ship that you're using to come in and run like quick ground activities where you both need to be able to clear yourself of the air, but also maybe you're mainly focused on FPS. I don't know if this has any storage though. So you might not really have a lot of fun looting. Said it's meant to punch up. I think it's definitely meant to take the role of the Redeemer, what it was supposed to be. Because the Redeemer originally came in to be something that was maybe a little more nimble, more agile, more able to move around. But then it got slowed up a lot because it was a little OP with its weapons. It's a weird ship. It went through a whole weird cycle because it wasn't made by the devs. It was made just for fun, and then it was approved because it was cool. And the Astropub loves it. He can't get over it. Like, go talk to him about it whenever you get the chance. But in general, it is a weird ship and it's been in a weird place. And I think this one is really going to help to alleviate it of that weirdness and let it go and be more of what it's supposed to be, while this is kind of more of a heavy gunship. But we'll see what the performance of this is. Oops. Where is the spec sheet? Let's see. So it's got a size 3 shield generator, 2 size 2 coolers, 1 size 2 battery, 1 size 2 life support. Basically everything else is size 2. 2 size 2 power plants, some redundancy there. 1 quantum drive size 2, jump drive size 2, 8 main thrusters, 12 MAV thrusters, and then it's got turrets we know of and 6 size 4 missiles. Can't tell you really what it's going to be performance-wise and movement-wise, but it's going to be heavy. This thing's going to move heavy, and it's going to be a chunky boy. Let's check out the Q&A. What is the loner? The Redeemer, of course. Regarding VTOL, the Paladin seems to have rotating thrusters at the back. How does it handle atmosphere? Paladin has enough VTOL power to handle adequately in atmosphere and maintain its position above targets, though compared to ships such as the Valkyrie, it will be less agile. Okay. So that's likely because it has less VTOL. No, it's probably just because the Valkyrie's smaller. I think what this question is getting at is it looks like the VTOL is unbalanced because you got these thrusters here, but you don't have anything up front. This is something that people mentioned with the Cutlass. It was mentioned with the Freelancer when we first had that. There are a couple ships that look unbalanced when it comes to VTOL. Sorry guys, I think we're just gonna have to use some disbelief with those. They go with the design, rule of cool. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, I like the functional look, like it's working, like it has to put out the power that it's putting out. If you're gonna have a heavy ship, you should have to have them bulky thrusters to keep that ship afloat. So I'm not super pleased with it, and I can kind of get away with like, oh, they've got some larger MAV thrusters on the front that act as VTOL thrusters, but nothing's going to work quite like these. So it's a little bit annoying, but I think it's just what they're going to end up going forward with. Is there an engineering room? Answer: the room at the rear of the upper deck is the engineering room, where the main engineering screen and majority of components are located. However, some components, such as radar, life support, and gravity generator, are located in other access areas of the ship. So engineering will be in here in the back of the ship, in the top deck, they said. So right here. Okay. Oh yeah, you can see the terminal right there. Does the Paladin offer escape pods for its crew? Yes, the beds double as ejection pods. That's a common one. How does the Paladin compare to the Redeemer? While both are gunships, they have different takes on that role and playstyle. The recent changes to the Redeemer's turret, weapon, and shield sizes are offset by a significant boost to maneuverability. This allows the Paladin to occupy the tankier gunship role. Okay, that's what we were saying. Basically, this is letting the Redeemer just basically take on more of like that fast attack ship kind of role. This thing has a nice heavy look to it. Both ships have strengths and weaknesses, the Paladin trading agility for raw firepower and speed for armor. Something we don't have in game yet. And one of those things where, like, if you're looking at a ship to buy or even borrow from a friend or something, if you're looking to get a new ship and it's a long-term thing, don't pick it long-term based on how it plays now. Just like it, looking at Star Citizen's problems and making changes based on those problems isn't necessarily the best idea for CIG to do, because the game is going to play a different way in the future. Getting a ship for how it performs now is going to lead you to just being a little confused in the future. Like I always say, get a ship for the idea it's supposed to have, because whatever it is right now, it's going to change. Armor's going to come in and make a lot of ships perform differently because of both the mass they get from it and also the additional protection. Just food for thought. The handling of the Paladin will be like the Redeemer was before the recent changes, which is more befitting a ship of its size and shape versus the much more compact Redeemer. And unlike the Redeemer, the Paladin has no modular room, which is still planned for the Redeemer's lower floor. Oh, I did not catch that before. I didn't know the Redeemer's getting a modular room. Let's just look up the Redeemer real quick so you get an idea of what they mean. The Redeemer is 51 meters long, so I think that's 20 meters shorter than this? Oh no, it's only 2 meters shorter. It's not that much smaller. 14 in height and 25 in width compared to 14 in height and 38 in width. So it's definitely thicker. It's a bigger ship for sure. Not a ton bigger though. When will the Paladin start production? They said the Paladin is currently in its white box production phase. This is why I think it could release. This ship is at about the same stage as the Perseus, the Ironclad, and several other ships. At least it was back in November. Let's go to the Star Citizen November monthly report. You go to the ship art section, and they say, alongside unannounced vehicles, which we have now seen, probably some of them were the Atlas and the Golem, several upcoming vehicles progress through the white box and gray box stages, including the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. I don't think that's coming soon. The Drake Ironclad, I do think that could be coming this year. The Anvil Paladin, ding, 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 ding. That's us. The Misk Starlancer TAC, the Argo CSVM, the RSI Apollo, and the Perseus. For those who are keen on the eyes, that means you're hot. No, you guys are all keen on the eyes. No, for those who are keen with the eyes, you might notice that basically this whole list is almost all of the list I used for my video of what ships are coming out this year or might be coming out this year. I still am not convinced at all that the Pioneer is going to make it, but I think there's a good chance we could see every single one of these. The only two I'm nervous about are the Argo CSVM and the RSI Apollo, because those actually require features in gameplay. People convince themselves either the Perseus or Ironclad is definitely coming out at Invictus when there is no guarantee of either. Yeah, there's definitely no guarantee of either, but you got to admit, this is pretty normal Star Citizen fan behavior. You just go back to Star Citizen Invictus 2024 ship. And let's see if there's any threads where you can go back and look at, like, were there any? Yep, here we go. So you can just click through these threads and you'll get people kind of guessing at what's going to be released. And a lot of times you'll find all kinds of interesting speculation, sometimes right, sometimes not right. Military adjacent ships. And then this is the thread from 2 years ago doing kind of a similar thing. I don't know what ship actually released at Invictus Week last year. Don't think they're going to release the Apollo without the drone support. Neither do I. Surprise dropping the Kraken. Yeah, that seems likely. Sure. Yeah, Invictus Week is an interesting one. It certainly it's a big sale. It's one of the biggest. You can actually look at the CCU game. And this will show you kind of the funding path for the game overall. And if you look at the graph, you know, you'll see like generally it goes, and then there's a huge spike. And this huge spike's in November. And then it goes, another huge spike. This spike is in May. Then it goes, huge spike. November. Goes, huge spike. May. Every single year, November, December. It's like the last week of November. May, December, May, December, November, May, every single year. And that's because they have IAE in November, and then they have Invictus week, which is in May. And generally during those times, you'll get the chance to go in and pledge for a ship if you like it. But it's also just like they put a lot of ships available to fly for free, so people will try them, and they will buy a lot more because of that. But I do think that like people are very excited for the big flashy ship for Invictus week. But because CIG seems to be doing a new ship release every month, I could see them also spreading them out a little bit more. I think the Paladin is the easy win at Invictus week. It might not be the most money to create, but they could also show off either the Perseus or Ironclad at Invictus week. Like, hear me out. What if they bring in an Invictus week parade that has the Polaris, the Idris, the Javelin, and then some supporting Perseus? Just a whole battle group fleet. Maybe a couple Hammerheads in there too. Starfarer or two, just for the lore. Nobody uses Starfarer, but we'll give it to them. They put that in there, and then they sell the Paladin, and then they say, yeah, you can go and tour the Perseus, and it'll come out later this year. Then you'd get to double dip, because then you could make money from the concept sale, and then you could also sell the Paladin and make money from the Perseus again later in the year. Starfarers. Back to the QA though. The Redeemer is supposed to have sophisticated shields, but they are size 2. Why does the Paladin have size 3 when it's focused on armor? A ship's shield size does not confer any sophistication. It's not about the size, folks. No sophistication bonus, but instead alters factors such as shield health, capacity, and resistance to damage types. Generally, the larger the size, the larger the pool. However, having multiple smaller shields can be a bonus in terms of redundancy and regeneration rates over fewer large items. In this case, 6 size 2 shields versus a single size 3. Wait, what? The Redeemer has 6 size 2 shields? Yeah, I think I would prefer having 6 size 2 shields to 1 size 3. Wow. Though I don't know what the power drop-off is, but yeah, redundancy-wise, that sounds much better. Is there storage in the Paladin, such as gun racks, lockers, or a cargo grid? There are gun racks and personal storage for the crew, but there is not a dedicated cargo area. So you'll be able to loot and take stuff with you, but like you're gonna run. This is mainly a ship combat ship. This isn't like taken out. I think even the Redeemer has a little bit of storage in it. And I'm not saying storage for the sense of cargo hauling. I'm saying like if you're running a distribution center or a contested zone or something like that, you're going to be coming across rare items, and you might not want the guns, but being able to sell those, or maybe you come across some nice artifacts or some like commodities, you want to be able to carry at least 1/8 of an SCU or half an SCU of stuff back with you, offload it to your ship, and then go get some more. And not having any cargo grid is actually a pretty big deal. Because you can be doing, you could do a cargo grid on a freaking Pisces, right? Like there's so many small ships that you could get a cargo grid on, and that will be valuable with physicalized cargo. That is the entire point, by the way. For all the people who are like, why are they forcing us to physically move cargo and have cargo be physicalized and all this stuff? Because it's going to make you decide differently on a ship like the Paladin. And that's the whole point, setting this apart from the Redeemer. Compared to similar ships such as the Valkyrie and Legionnaire, how well armored is the Paladin? The Valkyrie is the better comparison size-wise. Regardless, the Paladin is well armored and able to take a significant amount of incoming fire. The Valkyrie's bigger. I mean, we're talking about cargo space. If you're going to take something like the Anvil Valkyrie, you can take vehicles with you. Like, this is a different category altogether. 48 meters long, so it's still about the same size. 12 meters tall, 38 meters wide. So you've got quite the competition. I think this is actually a really interesting trifecta of ships, I guess. The Valkyrie, the Redeemer, and the Paladin are all ships you could put in front of a player who's like, I want a mid-sized combat ship. You put all three of these ships down and you tell them all of the specs, and this feels like one of the best ways to highlight the amount of variability that Star Citizen ships have. Because your combat ship might have a cargo hold for vehicles, or it might have extra space for guns. It could have storage lockers for FPS weapons, or it could have suit lockers for exploration. It could have an engineering console in the back that lets you do more work on your components, or it could have, hell if I know, a little bit extra storage. The shields, the armor, the weapon sizes, whether the ship can do VTOL or not, the views from the cockpit, can the pilot see the ground? If you're in a dropship and you're covering players on the ground, can you actually see the ground that you're looking at? Or are you blocked off and you have to kind of fly around and bank to see out the side? Because the Paladin can see the ground. So does that make it the better ground cover? But the Valkyrie can land and put down a vehicle to help out. So does that make it better? But then the Paladin can put its turret on the bottom and the Valkyrie's is on the top. The Valkyrie can carry more people, but the Paladin, like, I really love this. This is my favorite part of the game, seeing how much different they can make these things, even though they're pretty similar. Going forward, how fast does the S5 quad turret slide between the top and bottom positions? What? Why are you asking them this question during the concept phase? They're going to be like, yes. We'll be evaluating this during production, but it won't move quicker than the Scorpius rail turret. You can expect it to take longer than that due to the distance it's required to travel. Makes sense. Alright, is the Paladin still efficient if I play with just one friend as a duo with them using the remote quad turret? While all weapon stations are usable with only 2 total crew, it is not the optimal loadout due to restrictions on the pilot-controlled wing weapons. See more details below. Okay. Do the pilot's wing weapons play as gimbaled when not remotely manned by dedicated gunners? Yes. If there is nobody in the seats that control the wing weapons, then the pilot has control of them, albeit locked in the forward arc. Due to their location, their convergence is limited frontally, so they're only suitable for targets in mid to long distance. However, when independently controlled, they have full freedom of motion and can look pretty much in full 180-degree arcs in all directions, allowing players to engage targets below, above, and behind. You know, I think this is a solid middle ground for allowing solo players to get some benefit from these larger ships, but also saying, hey, these aren't going to work for you the best if you're solo. Limiting the firing arcs, but giving them control of the guns seems like the best way to do it. And I know they updated the, what's it called? Corsair, to kind of have that same functionality, but it still sounds like it's a little bit limited in terms of seats. I'm as long as there is a clear discrepancy between the way that these ships are moved in groups or solo, I think they can continue to balance to figure out how to make it best work. But I remember, I think when they first released this was not the case. And then they quickly changed it, and maybe they had made a decision at that point that they needed to be more lenient. And that's why they updated all these other ships recently too. I think the Valkyrie got an update and a couple others. But at the same time, they do need to be careful. They can't keep on giving ground every single time it feels like solo players are getting locked out of things. Solo players will get locked out of things. Group players will also get locked out of things. There are going to be missions and contracts that are better to run as a single player. And like, that's okay. It's okay. It's all right as long as they make enough gameplay for everybody. We don't all have to play everything. How is the visibility with the blast shields activated, and why should we activate the blast shields in the cockpit? Visibility is significantly reduced for all seats. However, the pilot is the only one impacted, as all other stations use remote weapon views. The upper and lower blast shields are independently controlled, allowing the crew to decide whether to fully or partially lock down. In the short term, these parts provide a small HP boost when deployed, but as physical damage comes online, they will provide additional damage resistance. Interesting, so this is probably true for the Carrack and the Terrapin too, and the Cutter. Yes, you can replace the weapons and the missiles. Internal deck show rooms that look rather empty regarding the internal floor plan. Central traversable areas. Number 5 is the crew quarters. Number 8 is the main entrance room with 4 suit lockers and a set of weapon racks. So they do have suit lockers and weapon racks here, so you are prepared to go on ground missions, even from within this ship. You just don't have storage. With the ammo system in the future, players are wondering about ballistic reloading. We still do plan for ships to be able to rearm ballistic weapons, either directly on the gun in question or from the ship's internal stores fed by players. We've seen, I think, a teaser that's coming along. I believe the Perseus has loading stations inside of it, so that's probably the first place we'll see it. Can it fly long distance across system? Its quantum fuel tank will have similar capacity to the Valkyries. However, given the equipped quantum drive, there isn't a simple yes-no answer to this. And how many exits does it have? Just a single one. So that's about it. It does look like there is... Oh yeah, so just this single side entrance is the only way to get on and off this ship. That is actually terrifying. Why is it like that? That's so limited. Especially for a combat ship. I mean, it makes it easy if people are trying to board your ship, which this is a ship that's going to get boarded. This ship, oh my gosh, this is going to get boarded, no doubt. But man, also difficult to escape. Well, that's the Paladin, folks. Hope you learned something on this one. Hopefully we see it in Invictus. I'll have more updates for you as we go.